Hey everyone, Tsunpaper here, and today I feel like talking about something kinda weird. So you see, pretty recently I've been, going back to Mario Odyssey, farming for coins whenever I have time, so I can have all the costumes in the game. See, I already have the majority of them, and the reason why I'm doing all this is because I actually 100% completed this game back around when it first came out, and now with the constant updates of adding new costumes all the time, which is really infuriating. So then I have to go back and do the boring coin farming. It's like, come on, really? Stop adding costumes. Don't you think this game has enough costumes, for crying out loud? What is this, Dress Up Mario? Yeesh. Not to mention the prices of some of these costumes. Come on. Grand total of 8,000 coins for this dumb thing? Mario, your economy, it's taking. You gotta go out and clog some drains in New York. Come on, Mario, you gotta do that. Make some money. Get a real job. Make some money. You gotta do that. But I digress. Anyways, while I was in the middle of coin farming, I was kinda, thinking about it a bit, and then it occurred to me, hey, I've never beaten Mario 64. Or any of the other 3D Mario games for that matter. The only one I've ever beaten was Mario Odyssey. When I was thinking about Mario 64, I was thinking, why did I never beat it? It's not like the game was that hard. I mean, granted, I haven't really played the game in a very, very, very long time. Well, I mean, I've picked it up every now and then and kind of messed around, but never played it seriously, as in with the full intent to beat it. Why did I never beat Mario 64? What was it about the game that made me stop playing it? I think back about it, my first exposure to Mario in general was in fact Mario 64. I was either 3 or 4 at the time, and I went over a friend's house and I got to see Mario 64, since they had an N64. While at my home, all I had was a little old Sega Mega Drive, or the Genesis, depending on your region. And I loved that console, and played all the games on it. And honestly, that's what I did. So when I saw this console I never seen before, this really weird junky controller, you want to know what I thought about it? Nothing. I actually just picked up the controller and started playing the game without thinking twice. Weird, isn't it? And so, after messing around with Mario 64 for a little bit, because I remember my friends told me specifically, since they were a bit older than me, to do this particular level because it would be easier for me considering I was so young. And I just thought the game was pretty fun. I didn't think it was the most amazing thing ever, but again, what's a 3-year-old's opinion, right? So I remember just thinking about the N64 for a few years while still playing my little Sega Genesis games. And until one day, several years later, I got an N64. And the very first Mario game on my N64 was Mario Party. The joys of parents giving you games. Such a fun experience. But also the other game was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, so, yep, I pretty much played that and Mario Party. And it actually wasn't until several years after that, well after the GameCube release, that I actually got my hands on Mario 64. And for some reason, I never beat it. So when I think about that, I want to find out why I never beat it. So, I'm basically going to tell you about how I went through Mario 64, 100% completed the game, trying to figure out why I stopped. I should note that this pretty much isn't a review for the game. I mean, everybody's reviewed this game to death, and this is more about my personal experience, so here we go. So the first major thing I noticed about this game is that the controls are fairly archaic, which is what you would expect. I mean, hey, I'm stating the obvious here, right? But at the same time, the controls hold up really well. The only thing that I would say that really irritated me going through this entire experience was the camera. We seriously take camera sticks for granted with our modern gaming today. My goodness. It's like no wonder the PS4 controller has the 2 analog sticks side by side to each other. So in Mario 64, that was pretty difficult trying to move around, because sometimes the camera just will automatically move if it's in latitude mode, And all of a sudden, it's like, great, my perspective has been warped as I'm moving, and then Mario changes his direction because the camera changed, and then I fall off a ledge and die. Despite this game having some really bad camera controls though, I have to say, some of the level designs were absolutely breathtaking, and I was just blown away by some of the detail. I mean, just look at some of these areas. It's like unbelievably detailed. It's like all these varying pathways to go around to do stuff. I feel like games today don't really capture that same kind of magic you get from those kinds of little small details in the game environment. But still, moving on from there, trying to turn Mario around is a little too realistic for my tastes, because he actually will sometimes kind of spin around a bit when you're changing his direction of movement, which then causes him to fall off of narrow places if you're not that careful. So, while in the beginning of the game all the levels were fairly simple with less falling hazards and narrow spots, I didn't really have that many problems doing all the stars in the beginning area, but when it came toward near the end of the game, well, let's just say there were a lot more frustrating falls and rage quits as opposed to the beginning. Because, let's face it, the last few stages of this game are horribly designed. And then it all came rushing back to my memory of why I stopped playing the game in general. Because you see, I only reached about 50 stars when I was younger. And for some reason, I just wasn't very good at the game. I did beat it now, but I do have to say again, just with the pure nonsense of the, clunky controls and the bad camera, I can see why that deterred me from continuing to play the game and to beat it when I was younger. But because I'm all grown up now, that didn't stop me. I pressed through, even though it was very, very, very frustrating to press through. Don't get me wrong. While some of the later levels are a bit frustrating in design, and the majority of the levels of Mario 64 really aren't that great either, that isn't to say I didn't have fun, because I actually had lots of fun 100% completing Mario 64. Now, would I ever do it again? No, I know better now. But I gotta say, it was a really fun journey, just going through a game I never really beaten and just completing it all the way through. Kind of like finishing up loose ends from my childhood. Even discovering that I could go to the top of the Peach's castle and talk to Yoshi and get 100 lives afterward was kind of nice. But at the same time, I kind of laughed at that message, because it's like, yeah, because I'm gonna play this game again, like so soon after I beat it, right? But maybe if I ever feel like messing around, I will go again with all those 100 lives, messing around and not caring if I die or not in every level. And that was basically my experience with Mario 64. There really isn't much else I can say about it. Other than, I liked Mario 64. It was a fun game. And if you've never played it, you should play it too, because I don't know, it's a game. I never really thought of how I would end this video, so I'm just gonna end it here. Bye!